The mockery begins. The Galactic Council chamber was full of noise and laughter. Powerful alien leaders sat in large chairs, each one proud and arrogant. They looked down at the human standing in front of them. His name was Jack Carter, a young cadet from Earth. Jack stood tall, not moving. He was the only human in the room. The others laughed at him, whispered insults, and made jokes in different languages. But Jack understood their meaning. "He doesn't even know what's coming," one alien said. "Poor human," another laughed. "He is being thrown to the cursed princess." At the center of the room, the tall alien king of the Zarians spoke. His voice was cold. "This human, Jack Carter, will now be bonded with my daughter, Princess Zara," the king said. "She is no longer needed in our royal plans." Gasps and laughter spread across the council. Everyone knew Zara's name. Everyone knew the story. Princess Zara, the one rejected by her own father. She was called dangerous, strange, and broken. Many believed she was cursed. Some said she had powers that she could not control. Others believed she once destroyed her own guards in anger. The king never confirmed or denied these rumors. He simply locked her away in a hidden palace and ignored her existence. Now he was using her as a joke, a punishment. And Jack Carter was the victim. A high-ranking alien general whispered loudly, "The human is lucky he'll survive one night." Another replied, "If she doesn't kill him, her mind will." The entire Galactic Council enjoyed the show. They saw Earth as weak. Humans were newcomers to space. The Council only allowed them in as entertainment. Humans were brave but small, curious but powerless. They were not feared. They were not respected. But Jack Carter did not look afraid. He listened quietly. He showed no anger, no fear, no confusion. Then he simply nodded once. "I accept the bond," he said. The laughter stopped. The king narrowed his eyes. "You accept?" Jack looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes that mocked him. "I accept," Jack repeated. "I don't run away." No one expected this. A few council members looked uncomfortable. Others whispered. This wasn't part of the plan. The human was supposed to break. He was supposed to beg, or cry, or at least show fear, but Jack didn't. Later that day, a ship took him to the royal moon. It was cold, silent, and full of empty halls. There, Princess Zara lived alone. No guards, no friends, no one. The moment Jack stepped into the palace, he felt something strange. The air was heavy, the walls were dark, but still, he walked forward. At the end of a long hall, a tall figure stood in silence. Zara, her eyes were sharp, her skin was pale blue, her face showed no emotion. She didn't welcome Jack, she didn't speak. She simply watched him as if trying to understand him. Jack looked at her. "I'm Jack Carter," he said. She didn't reply. "They said I'm now your bondmate." Still, no reply. "They said you're dangerous." Zara blinked slowly. "They always say that," she finally said. Her voice was soft but full of something else, something deeper. Jack couldn't name it. Pain, maybe. Or power. Or both. "I don't believe them," Jack said. Zara turned her head slightly. "You should," she replied. But Jack didn't walk away. That night, while Jack sat in a silent room thinking, he heard footsteps. Zara entered without warning. "You're not afraid of me," she said. "Why?" Jack shrugged. "You haven't given me a reason to be." Zara stared at him for a long time. Then she said something very quiet, almost a whisper. "You don't know what you've done." Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" But Zara was already walking away. Back at the Galactic Council, the alien king sat in his private chamber. He looked at a small screen. A file opened. It showed Jack Carter's profile. "Watch him," the king ordered. "If he survives her, we may have a bigger problem." In the shadows of space, something old and dangerous opened its eyes. "Jack, Carter had just stepped into something bigger than he could imagine, and Princess Zara was not what she seemed. The rejected princess. Princess Zara walked through the empty halls of her palace. Her steps were quiet, but her presence was heavy. The guards never came near her. The servants did their work and left quickly. Everyone who saw her lowered their heads or turned away. They were afraid. Zara was not like other royal daughters. She had no friends, no one to talk to. She was not invited to galactic events. She was called the rejected princess behind her, back and sometimes to her face. Her father, the king, had removed her from the royal court years ago. He never said why. Some said she was dangerous. Others believed she had lost control of her powers. A few whispered that she had seen something she was not supposed to see, but no one knew the truth. Now a human had been forced into a bond with her. His name was Jack Carter. He came from Earth, a planet the Council laughed at, a planet called a death world by some because of its harsh animals and strong people. But even so, humans were not respected in the galaxy. They were seen as new, wild, and foolish. Zara watched Jack from a distance. He was strange. He was not like the others. Most people feared her. Some hated her. Many wanted her gone. But Jack showed no fear. He spoke with calm words. He walked through her palace like it was a normal building. He looked into her eyes like he was searching for answers, not running from her past. This made Zara curious. She remembered the day she was removed from the court. The king had not spoken a single word to her. Only the royal guards came to take her away. Since then, she had lived alone. Her powers grew stronger. But so did her silence. She had accepted that she would never return. She had accepted that she would never be trusted. But now this human was in her home. He asked questions. He tried to understand her. That was new. That was strange. One day, Zara stood in front of a dark mirror. Her eyes looked tired, but her mind was full of thoughts. Why had her father chosen to bond her with a human? Why now? Why Jack? She knew the council wanted entertainment. They wanted to make fun of Earth. They wanted to shame the humans. But something felt wrong. Something felt deeper. Zara had not spoken to her father in years. Now he sends her a mate? Jack, on the other hand, had started to explore the palace. He learned about its structure, about the guards outside, about the strange technology hidden inside. He found broken doors and locked rooms. One room was full of burned walls. Another had deep scratches across the floor. Jack didn't ask questions out loud, but he took mental notes. This place was more than it seemed. At dinner, Zara finally sat across from him. "You look calm," she said. "I am," Jack replied. "Why?" "Because fear doesn't help," he said. "And I don't think you're the monster they say you are." Zara studied him. Her face showed no emotion, but her voice was softer this time. "They fear what they don't understand," she said. "And they do not understand me." Jack nodded. "Maybe they're afraid because you're stronger than they are." She raised an eyebrow. "You believe that?" "I've seen how they talk about you. I've seen how they avoid you. That kind of fear only comes from power." Zara did not reply, but something in her mind changed. Jack wasn't here to spy on her. He wasn't trying to control her. He wasn't sent to test her. At least not yet. Later that night, Zara stood on the balcony looking at the stars. Jack stood beside her. "They call Earth a death world," he said. "I've heard," she replied. "It means our planet is full of danger, strong gravity, wild animals, deadly diseases. But we learned to survive. We became stronger." Zara looked at him. "So you believe strength is built in pain?" Jack shrugged. "Sometimes." She was silent for a moment. Then she said something he didn't expect. "My father fears me," she said. Jack turned to her. "Why?" "Because I know the truth about him," she said. "And I know what he did." "What did he do?" Jack asked. Zara didn't answer. She stepped away and disappeared into the dark hallway. The next morning, Jack found a message on his door. It had no name, no seal, just one line. Leave now, or you won't live to see the next sunrise. He looked up. No one was around. But he knew someone was watching. Back on the council world, the king stood in silence. One of his advisors whispered to him, "Zara is talking to the human." The king frowned. "She must not reveal anything," he said. "If she does, we lose everything." Secrets of the royal bloodline, Jack Carter was no longer just curious. He was suspicious. Too many things didn't make sense. The council laughed when he was bonded to Zara, but now he wondered if the joke was hiding something bigger. The king had stayed silent since the bond. No instructions, no visits. And Zara? She had started to speak more, but she was still hiding something. One morning, Zara stood in the great hall staring at the old royal crest on the wall. Her voice was quiet when she spoke. "You are not like the others, Jack." Jack replied simply, "I didn't come here to be like them." Zara gave him a long look. Then, after a pause, she said, "Follow me." She led him through forgotten doors and down long, dark stairs. Dust covered the walls. Machines lay broken. Symbols glowed faintly along the path. This part of the palace had not been touched for years, maybe centuries. They stopped in front of a large metal door. Zara touched a panel and it scanned her hand. The door opened. Inside was a room full of ancient lights, machines, and a strange circular device that hummed softly. The air felt heavier here. "This place was built long ago," Zara said. "Before my father. Before the council. Only those with royal blood can enter, but it doesn't just open to power, it opens to fate." Jack looked around. "Why bring me here?" Zara didn't answer right away. Then she pointed at the machine in the center. "Put your hand on it." Jack stepped forward, unsure. He placed his hand on the machine. At first, nothing happened. Then, it lit up. Zara's eyes widened. "That's not possible." The machine glowed brighter and began to move. Symbols danced across the air. A voice spoke in an old language, but the meaning was clear. Two bloodlines. One future. The daughter of silence. The son of struggle. The tyrant falls when they stand together. The room grew quiet again. The message faded. Zara whispered, "It was true." Jack stepped back. "What was that?" Zara looked at him with new eyes. "It's a prophecy, hidden by the old ones. My father feared it. That's why he locked this place. That's why he locked me away." Jack nodded slowly. "And now he wants me dead because I fit the other half." Zara nodded. "You are more than just human. Your blood carries something old, something lost. That's why he sent you here. Not to mock you, to stop you." Jack's mind raced. Everything made sense now. The strange warnings, the silence. From the king, the way the council avoided Zara. They weren't afraid of her because she was dangerous. They were afraid because she could change everything. Just then, the machine spoke again, this time in a low warning tone. "Danger detected. Foreign mines entering space. Defense activated." Zara looked at Jack. "They found us." Jack stepped forward. "Let them come." Outside the hidden room, council agents had landed. Silent, fast, and fully armed. They were not here to talk. They were here to erase the secret. But when they entered the temple, the ancient machines rose to life. Shields formed. Lights turned red. The walls glowed with symbols of war. Jack and Zara stood in the center, untouched. Zara placed her hand on another panel. The machine responded again. This time it showed a star map, with paths leading to other hidden places. "These are the vaults of truth," Zara said. "Places where more secrets are kept. If we reach them, we can show the galaxy what the king really is." Jack agreed. "Then we move fast, before the council blocks every path." They left the temple through a hidden tunnel. Behind them, the machines locked the chamber again. The Council agents tried to break in, but the technology was too old, too advanced. Back on the Council planet, the king received a report. His face darkened. They found the prophecy, the advisor said, and the machine accepted the human. The king stood still. Then he spoke with anger. Send the bounty hunters, use every weapon, this cannot continue. Zara and Jack now carried knowledge that could shake the galaxy. They were no longer just a rejected princess and a forgotten human. They were a threat to the lies of the royal bloodline, and the Council was ready to kill to protect those lies. But Jack and Zara had already made their choice. They would not run. They would uncover the truth, no matter what the cost. The hunt begins. Zara and Jack were now on the run, but they were not running in fear. They were moving with purpose. The message from the old machine had changed everything. The prophecy was real. Jack was part of it. And Zara, once hidden and forgotten, was now the key to the truth. The Council had lied to the galaxy for a long time. They hid old knowledge, erased history, and used fear to stay in control. But now 2 people knew the secret. That was enough to start a storm. The king was furious. His orders were clear. Stop them before they reach the vaults. He hired bounty hunters from across the galaxy. Some were machines, some were clones, some were monsters. All of them were deadly, and all of them had one mission: destroy Jack and Zara before they reached the next vault. Zara knew the danger. She had studied the Council's tactics for years while trapped in her palace. She understood how they moved. She understood their fear. Jack had trained as a human soldier. He had survived Death World missions, harsh training, and alien tests. He was strong, smart, focused. But this mission was bigger than anything he had ever faced. They traveled by hidden paths, through broken space stations and quiet moons. Each location was another piece of the puzzle. The map from the first vault led them to more data, coordinates, access codes, and old names long erased from history. But the bounty hunters were close. At every step, the danger grew. Jack and Zara found evidence that others had tried to uncover the truth before, but all had disappeared. Some were silenced. Some were erased completely. Zara started to remember more from her childhood, things she was told to forget. She remembered voices speaking in fear. She remembered guards whispering about a first child. She remembered the royal scientists saying she was different. Jack listened to her stories and connected them with the data they found. This isn't just about power, Jack said one day. It's about control. The Council didn't just hide the prophecy. They built a lie around the galaxy, and anyone who finds the truth is removed. Zara agreed. We're not just targets. We're the last chance. The next vault was hidden, inside an abandoned starship floating near a black star. It was invisible to most scanners, but Zara's royal blood gave them access. Inside, they found old records, files showing how the Council destroyed planets that resisted them. Videos of peaceful species wiped out, voices of leaders who begged for mercy and were ignored. Jack's hands shook as he watched. They call Earth a death world, he said, but they created death for thousands of worlds. The truth was worse than either of them expected. Zara found a personal file from the king, a recording. In it, he spoke of her. She is too powerful. If the people know what she can do, they will follow her. I must bury her before the prophecy takes root. Zara listened in silence. Then she said, He never saw me as his daughter, only as a threat. Jack replied, And now he knows you've returned. The moment they took the data, the ship shook. The Council had found them. An elite hunter was already inside, sent to erase all evidence. Zara and Jack escaped again, but just barely. Now they had proof. Now they had voices. Now they had names. But the galaxy still didn't believe in them. Not yet. They sent encrypted messages to hidden allies, small rebel groups, free traders, scientists who had vanished. Each message was the same. The Council lied. The bloodline is broken. The truth is coming. Some replied. Most stayed silent. Fear still ruled the stars. But cracks were forming. The king received another report. They escaped again. They have reached the second vault. His hand slammed the table. Then bring in the shadow fleet. I want the sky to burn before they reach the third. Advisors hesitated. That would reveal too much. The king's voice was cold. Then let it be revealed. I will rule through fire if I must. Jack and Zara moved toward the third vault. Time was running out. The council was becoming more desperate, the attacks more violent. But now Jack was changing. Something inside him had awakened after touching the ancient machine. He felt faster, stronger. His senses were sharper. His dreams were strange, full of stars, symbols, and voices he didn't recognize. Zara noticed. The bond is growing, she said. You're becoming what they feared. Jack nodded. Then they should fear me. The galaxy was watching in silence. The hunters were ready. The council was angry, but Jack and Zara were no longer just two forgotten souls. They were a warning, and soon they would be a revolution. The voice of rebellion, Zara and Jack were closer than ever to the third vault. The map showed it hidden deep, inside a forgotten asteroid city. It was a place erased from the charts, a place the council had destroyed long ago. But the memory of the people who once lived there still remained. As they approached the city, Jack could feel the pressure building. He was changing more each day. His body felt stronger, but something inside his mind was also shifting. He could sense danger before it came. He could feel Zara's emotions even before she spoke. Zara had noticed the change too. Her connection to Jack had grown stronger. The bond the council had forced between them was no longer a curse, it had become a weapon. They entered the ruins of the asteroid city quietly. Dust floated in the air. Old machines hummed softly, still alive after centuries of silence. This was not just a lost city. It was once a capital of knowledge, a place where the first rebellion against the council began. Inside a hidden chamber, they found the third vault. It was smaller than the others, but more focused. It didn't hold weapons. It held messages, thousands of them, from across the galaxy. Messages from people who had disappeared, from worlds the council claimed were lost in war, from voices that had been silenced. Zara played one of the messages. A young leader spoke. We tried to speak the truth, they called us liars, we showed them the proof, they burned our planet. If this message reaches anyone, don't trust the council, they are afraid of light. Be the light. Jack played more. Messages. Children crying. Scientists explaining, soldiers confessing. All were erased from history. But now their voices had returned. Zara looked at Jack. This is what we need. Jack nodded. It's not just our words now. It's theirs too. They gathered the data and sent it through the secret channels they had used before. This time, the reaction was different. Responses came back faster. More groups started replying, small colonies, old rebels, disconnected species. Everyone had suffered under the council, but no one had dared to rise. Now they had a reason. One message stood out. It was from an old admiral who had once served the royal fleet. His voice was rough, but steady. You have my fleet. The time has come. Zara smiled for the first time in days. It's starting. Jack checked the map again. The fourth vault was in council space itself, hidden under their noses. But now they had allies. Now they had information. Now they had hope. The king received the latest reports and grew more furious. His empire was cracking. The shadows were no longer enough. Truth was spreading faster than he could stop it. He gave new orders. Find them. Use the full army. I want them gone. Council fleets began to move. Cities were locked down. Communication lines were cut. Fear returned to the galaxy, but this time people didn't stay quiet. Some began to protest. Others began to fight. Secret banners with Zara's symbol appeared in the streets. The people no longer believed the council. Zara and Jack, now traveling with a small group of rebels, moved closer to the core systems. Their ship was old, but fast. Each moment was a risk. The Council had eyes everywhere. But Jack was no longer just human. He could feel the path. He could sense where danger was. He was becoming something new, something not seen in generations. Zara watched him closely. "You are the reason the prophecy exists," she said. Jack looked at her. "So are you." The bond between them was more than just political. It was spiritual. It was ancient. The old machine had awakened something in both of them. Zara's memories returned faster now. She remembered things the Council had forced her to forget. She remembered her mother, once a powerful queen, whispering about a future where the people were free, a future the king had feared. Jack now understood his role. He was not chosen by accident. Earth was a death world, but its people survived anything. The Council had tried to use that fact to humiliate him, but it had become his strength. Zara and Jack stood at the edge of the final zone before Council space. Behind them, rebel ships followed. Ahead of them, death waited. But they did not stop. They had proof. They had power. They had each other. And most importantly, they had the truth. The galaxy was watching. The people were waiting. The voice of rebellion had been silent for too long. Now it was ready to speak. The fall of the crown. The final vault was deep inside the capital planet of the Galactic Council. It was hidden below the Grand Hall itself, the same place where the Council had mocked Jack and rejected Zara. Now, the same place held the last key to the truth. Zara and Jack entered the core system with a growing rebel fleet behind them. Their ship was shielded, silent and fast. But the Council had prepared for this moment. They had filled the skies with warships. They blocked communication. They shut down transport. They feared the truth more than any weapon. Inside the ship, Jack studied the vault's coordinates. It was buried under layers of security and lies. But Jack wasn't the same man anymore. The changes in him had continued. His mind was faster. His thoughts were clearer. His instincts never failed him. He no longer doubted who he was. Zara, too, had changed. She no longer walked with hesitation. She no longer feared her father. The people who once called her useless now whispered her name with hope. She had become a leader. The rebels sent a message across the galaxy. Today the crown falls. Today the truth returns. Some feared, some cheered, but no one stayed silent. The king saw this and gave his final order. Erase them. Wipe them from every world. The Council launched its full force. Ships attacked rebel outposts. Drones flooded the stars. Every bounty hunter was called back for one mission: destroy Jack and Zara. But something unexpected happened. Entire colonies refused to follow orders. Council soldiers dropped their weapons. Captains turned their ships around. The lies had gone too far. The truth had reached too many ears. Zara and Jack landed on the capital planet. The city was under lockdown, but people stood in the streets. They watched silently. They had seen the proof, they had heard the messages, and now they waited. Jack and Zara moved through hidden paths, guided by old rebels who had once served in the Royal Army. They reached the Grand Hall. Beneath it was a sealed vault. Only royal blood could open it. But this time, Jack also placed his hand on the scanner. The vault opened. Inside was the last piece of truth, a complete record of the Council's crimes. It held evidence of destroyed worlds, stolen resources, and genetic experiments. But most important, it held the real prophecy. The child of blood and the soul of struggle will bring the end of the false crown. Together, they are the balance. Zara read it aloud. Jack recorded it and sent it live across the galaxy. Every world received it. Every person heard it. The people knew the truth now. Suddenly, guards entered the chamber. Behind them was the king. He looked at Zara and Jack with cold eyes. "You've brought chaos," he said. "You've broken the galaxy." Jack stood tall. No. We've set it free. The king raised his hand to give the kill order, but the guards didn't move. They stood still, silent. Then one of them stepped forward and threw down his weapon. I follow the true bloodline, he said. Others followed. The king shouted in anger, but it was too late. The council building shook. Outside, the people had gathered. Ships circled the skies, but none fired. The crown had lost its power, not by force, but by truth. Zara stepped forward. She looked at the king, her father, for the last time. You ruled with fear. I will lead with light. The king was arrested by his own guards. The council was broken. The vaults were opened to all. The people at last had the truth. Zara was asked to lead the new alliance of worlds. She agreed, but only if the people voted freely. They did, and she won with hope, not fear. Jack returned to Earth for a time, but he was no longer just a soldier. He was a symbol. The one who brought change. The one who stood beside the forgotten princess and changed the galaxy. Their bond had started as a joke, a cruel trick by the council. But in the end, that bond saved everything. Now children across the stars learned their story, not just of war, but of courage, of truth, and of how one human and one rejected daughter ended an empire of lies and built something better, together, forever.